There is sometimes, in the silence of the night, a strange sensation that visits the heart, a gentle but persistent impression, like a light breath coming from elsewhere. You can't explain it. You can't ignore it either. There is a call, a name that you do not yet know, but that your soul already seems to pronounce. A love that you have never seen, but that your heart recognizes as if it had been waiting for it forever. You feel like your heart is calling for someone, but you don't know why. It is neither imagination nor the whim of a desire. It's older, deeper, almost sacred. There is a strange peace in you, mixed with expectation, as if your entire being knows that something essential is on the way. What if Allah sent you this sign today? What if this message was not a coincidence, but an answer to all your silent prayers? What if this video, these words, these beats of your heart, even as you listen, were the reminder that your soul is no longer alone on the path? There is a truth that most forget. Allah unites hearts long before they meet. True love does not begin with a physical encounter, but with a spiritual agreement enshrined in the kingdom of heaven, where souls have already said yes, even before eyes are laid. Imagine two stars, lost in the immensity of the sky. Each travels alone with her own light, her own wounds, her own prayers, and yet they are destined to cross paths, not by mistake, not by chance, but because heaven wrote it, because Allah, in His perfect wisdom, has placed a meeting point in their orbit, and you may be reaching this turning point, this sacred moment when souls come together without noise, where the paths begin to bend under the invisible hand of destiny. There is no hurry, but everything is coming. Nothing is visible, but everything is written. What you feel in your heart right now is not an illusion. It is a spiritual vibration, an echo coming from somewhere else that only Allah controls. It is the trace of a divine promise. The one that somewhere, someone was shaped for you. Not to complete you because you are already complete in Allah, but to walk with you in the same direction, towards Him. Do not doubt anymore. That feeling, that intuition, that sweet warmth you feel when you think about love. These are signs that your heart reads better than your mind. Allah often speaks to those who know how to listen quietly. The kingdom of God does not always manifest itself in thunderous miracles. Sometimes it reveals itself in a quiet tear, in sudden peace, or in a simple message like this. It manifests itself in the heart which begins to hope without reason, in the soul which understands without having learned. What if you were a few steps away from the one that heaven has chosen for you? What if your wait was coming to an end, not because you deserve it, but because Allah decided it that way? What if love, true love, the one that leads to Him, was already walking towards you, without you knowing it? Get ready. Because the kingdom has already spoken, your union is already known in heaven. It's time to listen to the signs. Second, spiritual signs that confirm His proximity. There are signs that do not come from men, nor from the visible world. Signs that only those who are attentive to the movements of their soul can perceive. When Allah decides to unite two souls, He does not begin by making them meet, but by awakening in each of them a subtle, almost silent awareness that the other is approaching. This is what you need to pay attention to. The first sign, perhaps the most common, is that you start praying more for your future without thinking about it. It's not calculated, it's not forced. You are not only asking for a union, you are especially asking for a light, a blessed home, a presence that elevates you. It is as if your heart, touched by a wisdom that goes beyond you, instinctively turned to the Creator to prepare your soul to welcome what He has chosen for you. Then comes this strange void, this inner feeling that nothing in this world can fill. You are surrounded, but you feel an absence. You move forward, but your heart seems to be waiting for something deeper, purer. It is not the emptiness of a superficial emotional lack, it is the emptiness left by a spiritual absence. The absence of a companion of faith, of destiny, of prayer. the one whose presence will not completely satisfy you, but who will constantly remind you that Allah alone is sufficient. Sometimes Allah speaks through dreams, and you start dreaming of a stranger, a look, a face that you don't recognize, but that never leaves you. In the dream, there is neither fear nor carnal desire, but a light, a peace, a recognition that your mind cannot yet translate. Perhaps it is your soul that recognizes the echo of the other soul, the one with which it was created. Because, as the Quran says, it is He who created you from a single soul, and He took from it His wife, so that He might find tranquility with her. And now, without warning, a strange peace invades your heart when you think about marriage. It's no longer an anxiety. It's no longer a burden. You are no longer looking to fill a need. You are looking to fulfill a calling. The idea of marriage no longer provokes panic or doubt, but deep serenity, as if, deep down, your heart knows that the moment is approaching. Another sign, often overlooked, is the sudden purification of your intentions. You start to give up certain habits. You change the way you present yourself, speak, live, not to please, but to prepare you. There is in you a new desire to become better, not to impress, but to be ready to welcome a blessed union. This inner change is not a coincidence. It is the divine breath that directs you towards what you still do not know. And sometimes signs show up through others. People start talking to you about marriage, about stability, without you having mentioned the subject. You hear reminders. You come across readings or videos that awaken your heart to this subject. And above all, you no longer feel jealous towards those who are in a relationship. On the contrary, you feel gratitude, hope, as if a part of you knew, soon, it will be you. The heart, when in connection with Allah, becomes a receiver of invisible messages. These are not hallucinations. These are not fantasies. It is the language of the divine. A language that speaks in sensations, in inner impulses, in subtle synchronicities. You feel that something is changing, that something is approaching. And you're right. These are not coincidences. They are answers. Allah never leaves a searching soul without a guide. He sends signs, sometimes discreet, but always clear to those who know how to listen with faith. And if you recognize these signs today, know that it's not a coincidence. This may be the moment when your heart is aligning with what heaven has already decreed for you. A pure union, a heavenly encounter, a confirmation of the kingdom. 3. The story of the one God has prepared for you. In a small remote village, enveloped by mountains and silence, lived a pious young man. He was neither famous nor sought after. He led a simple life, punctuated by the call to prayer and the rustling of the wind in the olive trees. Every morning, he got up before dawn, washed himself in the cold water of the spring, and placed his forehead on the ground, saying, Ya Allah, I only ask you what you have already written for me. But if this person exists, then prepare my heart. He didn't know why this invocation kept coming back. He had never seen her face. He didn't know his name, but he felt her presence in the silences. He felt that somewhere, someone was also walking towards him, although the roads were separate. He prayed in a desert of solitude, but he prayed with the hope that his echo would find a heart like his own. On the other side of the valley, far beyond the hills and invisible borders, lived a young woman. She also did not stand out. She spent her days taking care of her parents, reciting the names of Allah, and sometimes looking at the sky wondering, is he thinking of me without knowing me? She had never heard his voice, but some nights she dreamed of a look, a gentle, sincere look, which said nothing but soothed everything. What they both didn't know was that Allah had already linked their hearts, not at the moment of their birth, but long before in this world where souls were created in pairs. Where one was breath, the other was response. Where one fell, the other got up for two. It was a celestial writing, invisible to the eyes of men, but engraved in the light of the kingdom. One day, without warning, their paths crossed. not by a spectacular encounter, but by an almost imperceptible detail. He was invited to a spiritual conference in a neighboring town. She went there without much motivation, only pushed by a friend. They were two strangers, lost in a crowd. But when their eyes met, there was neither desire nor fear, only this peace, the one we feel when the soul recognizes what the mind cannot explain. They didn't talk right away, no unnecessary words, only silent prayers. Said to him, "If it is she, show me in peace." She said, "If it is him, then put away everything that is not pure." And the peace remained. The doubt has disappeared. Obstacles began to fade like shadows before the light. There was no love at first sight, only a gentle certainty, an inner maturity, a recognition without question. This was not a fairy tale romance. It was a union of two souls who had recognized each other long before meeting, a bond sealed by God, not by the whims of the world. Their love was not noisy. It was deep, made of silence, patience, prayer. It didn't need to be displayed to be real. He was proof that when you entrust your heart to Allah, He keeps it for the right person at the right time. Perhaps you are experiencing the same story today without knowing it. Perhaps you are that soul who prays in the desert of waiting, thinking you are alone, while the other is already praying for you in a place you have never visited. And perhaps, like them, you will not meet by chance, but because Allah has already written everything. 4. Why this wait is a test of faith. There is, in waiting, a form of silent pain that few understand, a feeling of unfinished business, as if the heart carries a promise whose deadline it does not know. And yet, this wait is not a useless void. She is a weave, an invisible work on your being, a subtle preparation orchestrated by the one who knows the perfect moment. Waiting, in reality, is not a break. It is an inner journey. It is the time it takes for the soul to become what it should be, in order to welcome another soul without crushing it, without possessing it, but to elevate it. The one you are waiting for is not a prize, but a responsibility, and you are not yet the one who will be able to bear this responsibility if you have not yet been transformed by the gentle fire of patience. Allah never brings two souls together until they have matured, said a wise man. He knows that love is not a game, nor an easy reward. He is a test, a reflection, a mirror. He reveals what you hide and asks for what you have not yet learned to give: forgiveness, constancy, gentleness in the storm. Take a good look around you. You will see that what you call waiting is in reality an act of creation. Allah shapes your heart in silence. He cleanses you of what could harm the union that He is preparing. It teaches you to love without possessing, to give without asking in return, to see the other as a divine deposit and not as an extension of your ego. Ibn Qayyim wrote, "He who waits in faith never wastes his time. He gains in closeness what others lose in impatience." These words resonate like a truth that is difficult to admit, but essential to integrate. What you experience now, in this seemingly barren solitude, is in fact a secret garden. Allah sows seeds there that only the future will bloom. What if your heart was already ready, but your soul was waiting for its divine moment? What if the other was also on the way, but needed a final detour to heal his wounds before he could reach you without damaging you? What if this pain of waiting was precisely proof that your heart is alive, that it is still capable of believing despite absence? Love in Islam is not an emotional refuge, it is a sacred place, a space where the presence of Allah is central. Two people only truly love each other when Allah is the common goal. This is why waiting is a test of faith, not only to know if you are able to wait, but to see if you are able to transform yourself during this wait, to evolve, to purify your intention. Rumi said, "What you seek also seeks you. But what you are looking for can only reach you when you have become what he, she deserves." There is a subtle balance in this divine equation. The delay is not a refusal, it's a refinement,
a slow, spiritual, essential maturation. So ask yourself, am I becoming the person I would like to meet? Am I building a heart capable of loving in Allah, by Allah, for Allah? Or am I simply trying to fill a void with a human presence? Because if it is the love of the kingdom that you are waiting for, it will only come with the light of faith, the solidity of the soul, and the humility of the heart. And these qualities do not fall from the sky. They are cultivated. Looking forward to, in the silence, in tears sometimes. But above all, in the certainty that Allah never forgets sincere hearts. 5. How to recognize true divine confirmation. It's easy to mistake attraction for revelation, to believe that the intensity of an emotion is the sign of destiny. And yet, spiritual truth is often the opposite of our most vivid perceptions, because the soul does not recognize the other by agitation, but by peace. It is not euphoria that confirms a divine connection, it is inner calm, a calm that cannot be explained, but which is essential. True confirmation does not create anxiety. It does not leave the heart in a state of instability or dependence. It does not open the door to obsession or unhealthy doubt. It doesn't make you get lost in assumptions or constantly look for external signs. On the contrary, it brings discreet tranquility, a sweet certainty, a rest for the soul. Allah often confirms through silence, this sacred silence where the heart stops asking questions, not because it has all the answers, but because it no longer needs them. He is at peace. He poses. He trusts. This precise moment when you no longer try to force things, when you are no longer afraid of losing, when you know that if this person is written for you, nothing will be able to prevent them from reaching you. Therein lies divine confirmation. But how can we distinguish this from simple human attraction? Attraction seeks to possess. Soul recognition seeks to protect. Attraction is often selfish, urgent, capricious. She wants the other for what he brings, for what he fulfills in us. Soul recognition is altruistic. She wants the other for what he is before God, for what he inspires to become, for the light it awakens, and not for the void it fills. A true partner of the kingdom never turns you away from Allah. He or she brings you closer. You pray more. You purify your intention. You want to improve. Not to seduce, but to deserve. The relationship becomes a path back to your Creator, not an escape into illusory happiness. This is where the tawakkul, absolute trust in Allah, comes into play. When your heart is free from the need to control, convince, or rush, you open space for God to act in His way. And His way is always more perfect than our plans. The patience, He is the anchor. It is not a simple passive wait. It is a posture of dignity, a stable faith. It allows you not to fall into the trap of illusions, nor to chase every emotion. The saber gives you the eyes of the heart, those which see not only what shines, but what truly illuminates. Because deep down, there is a deep truth. Allah doesn't just want to make you fall in love. He wants to make you fall into His wisdom, in a love that is a bridge to Him, not a distraction. This is why His confirmation never feels like what the world calls love at first sight. It is often gentle, discreet, almost silent, but terribly obvious to those who know how to listen. Did you feel this peace? That moment when you no longer need to ask the question, because the answer is already in the peace of your soul? If so, know that you may already be in the presence of divine confirmation. And if that's not the case yet, don't worry, for what comes from God is not sought in haste. He recognizes Himself in peace. 6. Final prayer and call to deep faith, O God. You who hear the silent sighs of those who hope, you who know the thoughts that even our tongue cannot formulate, you who read in our hearts what we dare not confess. Right now, a soul is listening to you, thirsty for truth, tired of doubting, but still capable of believing. A soul who does not ask you for a spectacular miracle, but for a simple light in the darkness. Ya Allah, send the one you have destined, not at the time we want, but at the time you have chosen.
for your calendar knows neither delay nor forgetfulness. He only accomplishes what is perfect. Purify our love of all ego, from all blind attachment, of any desperate search that only hides a fear of loneliness. Make this union not an escape, but a return to you, a bridge to your light, a bond that glorifies you and not distracts us. May we be for each other supports in times of trial, protectors in faith, companions in patience. Make our looks chaste, our intentions sincere, our paths aligned with your decree. Ya Allah, if this person exists and lives at this moment somewhere under your sky, soothe his heart, strengthen his faith, elevate his soul, and prepare her for us as you prepare us for her. And if the time is still long, give us the strength to wait, the beauty of the sword, and the sweetness does not trust. For you are the one who unites hearts without them seeing each other, the one who makes love fall at the exact moment, the one who never gives a union without hiding eternal wisdom. Ya Allah, for everyone who watches this video with a sincere heart, for those who pray, hope, sometimes cry in secret, give them a love that brings you closer. Give them a union that glorifies you. Give them proof that nothing that is for them will escape them, and that nothing that is not for them will be able to stay. Let them not rush. Let them not be afraid. Let them not compare themselves to anyone, because you wrote a unique story for each of them, and no one can erase what you have sealed in the kingdom. If these words resonate with you, this is not a simple coincidence. Maybe it's a sign, a reminder, an invitation to believe again, to walk in faith, even when the road is empty. Don't keep this light to yourself. Share it with whoever is waiting too. Because sometimes a simple video, a simple word, can revive hope in a tired heart. And if your heart vibrated today, subscribe. Not just a string, but a promise. The promise that what comes from Allah will come. At the right time, the right way. And with the peace that nothing and no one can take away, you are ready. And heaven listens to you.